live from the Counterpunch Media Mobile Studios in Grand Blanc, Michigan. It's time for real lives, real families, real fitness. It's time for Derek Noel Fitness.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Derek Noel Fitness Live. I am your host, Derek Noel, and tonight, like I said, is a really special episode. We had the opportunity to talk to a very special person earlier for the first interview segment ever on Derek Noel Fitness Live, and we recorded it earlier today. I think everyone is really going to enjoy this. My guest is Miss Bernie McCracklin, someone who I've actually known for the past couple years, which is another reason I wanted to have her as my first guest, because number one, we are comfortable talking to each other, and number two, I really feel like she has a lot that people can learn just from things that she's gone through. If you don't know her, you can check her out on Instagram at Bodies by Bernie, or on Facebook by searching her. She is the head coach of the Bodies by Bernie team. She has quite a few athletes under her care now and supervision. She specializes in weight loss and transformations and does a dang good job on it, and actually has her own awesome transformation as well. On top of that, she is a boot camp instructor here at Grand Blanc Fit Body Boot Camp. She does personal training and group training and online training, and she's also a hair and makeup artist for bodybuilding competitors. So she has a lot going on, and she's doing all of this as a single mother as well. She has an 18-year-old son. We delve into that a little bit. We also talk about ways to stay successful, some little snags that a lot of people we find run into as coaches, and just how to view fitness and health in general, which is really nice. I really think you're gonna dig this conversation that I had with Bernie. Let's get right to it. All right, guys, I'm here with the head coach of Bodies by Bernie. She specializes in weight loss and transformations. She honestly has a ton of different things that she does. She keeps herself super busy, all while being a single mother as well. And I know that we're going to dive into that a little bit. And I know that had to have been fun trying to do some things that you were doing too.
Yeah.
So, again, we have Miss Bernadine McCracklin.
Yes, call me Bernie.
Bernie. I think only her sister, Bernadette.
Yes, I have a
her.
twin sister, Bernadette, too. So, and they all call her Bernie, too. So it's funny. So none of our family and friends call us Bernie, but like people we work with call us Bernie. So
Just Bernie and Bernie.
yeah, pretty much.
So, before we get into some other things, because you are also a coach with me here at Fit Body Boot Camp, and we've known each other for over 2 years, which makes this conversation kind of interesting because it's the first time we're actually recording something like this, even though we have a lot of conversations all the time dealing with coaching and just life in general.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everyone how you originally got into working out?
Well, I guess I've always been an athlete, so I've always played sports, even through elementary, middle school, and high school. And then once I got pregnant after high school, I still needed something to do, so it wasn't obviously going to be sports. So that's when I started working out in the gym, and it was just kind of a progression thing. And I really didn't take to the weightlifting part of it until, a few years later down the line, after my son was a couple of years old, when I started really focusing on the weightlifting and more the scientific part of training, instead of just going to the gym and working out.
So when you were first starting working out, what were those workouts looking like?
Pretty much jumping on every machine and, maybe running up and down the street or something like that, trying to build up my cardio. But I didn't look at it like cardio. I just looked at it like more of like an endurance. Like I wanted to run, this far down the street, So, but like when I would go to the gym, I would, I just jumped on every machine, I would do the lat pull downs and leg extensions, really not having a plan or a program or anything like that. I just kind of just did it. Made sure I sweat and made sure I was getting some type of effect out of it.
And
how was that, like, once you got into weightlifting and you started taking everything more seriously with your son, Jay, who, by the way, in case you don't know, Bernie has an 18-year-old son, just graduated high school, and this is her. No, everyone thinks that your son is actually like your brother or something like that, which I think is kind of funny. But as he was growing up, how was it trying to just balance your, because originally it wasn't even a career, it was just balancing working out and trying to become more fit with raising your son, and did that change at all as he got older? Or?
It was different even for him, but as far as like my self-training and being a mom, it was more or less like I separated the two, like I didn't force my beliefs on him. So, whenever he went to grandma's house, he still ate hot dogs and had candy and cereal and things like that. But when he was at my house, it was a little bit different. So, I didn't really force him into this lifestyle. I just separated the two. And I just figured that once he got a little bit older and he can make his own decisions, he would be able to choose what kind of lifestyle he wanted. And fortunately, he's living the healthy lifestyle right now. So he's going to the gym every day and he's eating healthy and he's eating all of my food. And it's been pretty good, but it was never really too much of a struggle, because I never forced him to do something he didn't want to do. But then again, I didn't shove, sugary stuff down his throat. He could just go to grandma's house for that.
He still does.
Yeah, and he still does.
So when you're doing that, a lot of people think that, which you just said, you kind of separated them. A lot of people think that basically if you're in bodybuilding, it is the end-all be-all, like 100% commitment, because then you see people going on these stages and stuff like that, which we'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes. But what's one thing that most people think about bodybuilding that isn't actually true?
That we don't eat. I think that's one of the biggest things is we don't eat. And I love to eat. I love food. I probably talk about food more to you than anybody. But I am extremely disciplined, so when it's time for me to be on, then I'm on. And then like right now in my off season, I will tell you these last couple of weekends have not been my best weekends, but for me, this is a lifestyle, so I don't let that trip me up. I don't feel bad if I go have a cinnamon roll or cookie or anything like that, because I know that this is my lifestyle. It's not something I'm just gonna jump off the train and not work out for months on end, So, I think that's one of the biggest things that they think is like we don't eat, but we eat a lot and we eat often. So, I think that would probably be one of the biggest things.
Because on your team that you have a bunch of like co-athletes going to shows and stuff, aren't you called like the Cupcake Queen or something like that?
Yes. They have nicknamed me Cupcake Princess. So I love cupcakes. That has like been my thing for years and years. I mean, you can go on my Facebook memories from 10 years ago and I'm like posting cupcakes and stuff. So I just love cupcakes. I mean, that's my vice is sugar. I love sugar. But like I said, like when I'm disciplined and when it's time, it's time. So I know when to turn that off and when I can turn it on and when I can kind of play a little bit. So, and I would say right now I am in the PlayStation right now. So I'm like kind of playing around a little bit and then I'll have to reel it back, but it's not good.
And has that changed as time's gone on? Have you kind of figured out how that works better for you?
Yeah, I mean, especially with the beginning of bodybuilding, I think that's when you're going to learn a lot of mistakes. That's when you're going to learn, you're going to trip over yourself a lot in the beginning because you're just trying to figure stuff out and what works and what doesn't work. And so in the beginning of bodybuilding, that's when, I would do a show, I'd be really, really restricted. And then afterwards, I just completely binge and be right back to where I started or worse, because I just ate all of this sugar and it just made me feel like crap. But it took a couple times of me figuring out that that doesn't work for me, and it's okay to have some, but you know, you kind of have to moderate it, and you kind of have to, you know, realize what is, like, scientifically what is going on with your body and why your body is just sucking onto the sugar. And you know, and it sucks, but you know, sugar is highly addictive. You know, so the more sugar you eat, the harder it is to get off of it. So those are the things that I've learned throughout the years, but I still love sugar.
Were there any other mistakes through all the shows you've done? Because you did your first show 9 years ago?
2009.
2009, so 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Since then, have you made any mistakes in your career, whether it was during prep or immediately afterwards, or anything that you've done, like exercises you probably shouldn't have been doing, that may have cost you kind of long term?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. One was not actually doing proper warm-ups, stretching, doing those types of things, because I was going so hard into the training aspect of it. I really wasn't giving my time to cool down or to stretch or anything like that, which caused me to have major hip issues, which actually took me out of the game because I had to recover so long from that. So that's one big thing. I would say the eating part of it after the competition, I think that's what most people struggle with. It's not the actual prep, it's coming off of the prep, which is can be more or less of a mind, you know, a word I'm trying to say, and it could be just like that. And then that's when all of the bad habits start coming in, the binging and you know, depression, because you're not used to going to being so lean to gradually having to add on weight, you know. And so those would be some of the things that I think would be hard to work through. Let me see. I'm trying. I feel like there could be a lot that we could say about this. Definitely the binging, the cooling, the stretching, the types of training, and types of nutrition. I've learned different ways that my body reacts to. So for me personally, being more on a keto type diet, for me, works for me personally. But that doesn't work for everybody, you know? So those are the things that, you know, as a coach, you have to figure out what your athlete is going to work best with. And so, you know, and it took, 7, 8 years for, you know, me to realize that, okay, the keto type diet, it's going to work better for me. You know, instead of having carbs gradually go down, it's better for me just to have a low carb, you know, macro count than it is for me to start off at a high one. But that's just me. So just learning about the different dieting and things like that. I don't know. I think those are a couple of the main ones.
Going back to the hip, how did you end up actually fixing that?
Stretching. So it took me about, I would say, 2.5 years to finally get it together. Because, you know, even when I was injured, I was still trying to train. And gradually it would, you know, I couldn't do this, you know, or I couldn't do lunges anymore. Or then now I can't squat, or I couldn't just like even walk down the street without having some hip issues. So it was like more of a gradual process. And, you know, I tried physical therapy. You know, I tried, you know, just not doing anything that had anything to do with the hip. But honestly, everything in your body has everything to do with the hip. So, you know, I've tried, you know, I went to doctors, you know, everything. And the only thing that worked for me was just completely stop working out and doing band stretching. And once I started doing the band stretching, that is what was able to pull the socket out of the joint. And it was hips were able to move again. So even going through all of these doctors and everything like that, it was stretching. It was stretching.
And for people who don't know what band stretching is, basically you use a resistance band and you tie it around something, and then in your case you would probably put it around like your ankle or something like that, and just allow the tension to help decompress that joint.
Exactly.
So it'd basically be pulling it out a little bit. And for a lot of people, it does relieve tension, and it can help relieve mobility. We know another person who's been doing that a lot to help open up his hips, because his were really bad.
Yeah.
So if you're ever having any issues with the hips, maybe
band stretching.
Maybe band stretching.
Try it.
Is definitely
it is
the way to
wonderful.
go.
Yeah.
What's something that you wish more people would realize about health and fitness in general? Because a lot of preconceived notions out there, or a lot of people take it for granted.
Yeah. I think that you should try to have fun with it. I think that's one of the biggest things is that a lot of people don't want to do it because they don't have fun with it. They don't get some type of enjoyment from it. And just because I like to work out at a gym doesn't mean that you have to work out at a gym. I mean, there's different ways of fitness that you can do. You can go hiking, you can go biking, you can go swimming, you can take a jazzercise class with your best friend. I think the first thing to do is to find something that you can find some type of enjoyment from. And whether that's coming from a class or whether you feel like you need one-on-one because you want to actually learn about exercise, because maybe you are a learner and you want to learn why does this work for me. So I think that's one of the things that people have to find is something that they can enjoy, because if they don't enjoy it, they're not going to stick with it. Because either way it goes, you have to put in work. And it's the same thing as going to a job that you hate. If you go to a job that you hate, you are going to dread it every single day. But if you can find some type of enjoyment about the job that you go to, same thing with working out, you wouldn't mind getting up in the morning to go do what you have to do because you know it's going to benefit you in the end. So I think that's, for me, is always number one, and that's what I always try to bring out is I want to see people smiling when they're doing their workouts, and I want to see people getting some type of enjoyment from it. Like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but anything that's worth it is hard. So yeah, that's the first thing I would say.
Yeah, and case in point, you actually started waking up at like 3 in the morning to do your morning cardio, just to get it out of the way. Because then you feel like it opens it up. So
Right.
I personally really like working out early in the morning too. Just with my schedule, I don't always get to. So for me, I feel like it also helps with your head game a little bit too.
I agree.
So I wish more people would realize that if you're working out, there are a bunch of different things going on in your body, and it'll actually help you feel better. And in a lot of cases, it can start to help fight things like depression and anxiety, things like that. And I know, as I've been in a couple situations that have just been like messing with my brain, I've had a lot of breakthroughs in the middle of a workout because it's almost like meditation.
It is meditation. That's why I love it, and that's why I feel like personally, that's why I need it so much. Because I am a ball of energy, and when I, work out, or when I, train or do cardio or something like that, that is really my time to meditate. That's really my time to kind of like zero in and not really have to focus on the outside world. I can just kind of go inside, because I'm usually just running around every other time. So, that to me is my therapy, and I think that's why everybody needs it, because we all have energy, and when you store it and you don't use it, that's where that depression, and that's where you don't feel like you're being used. Like, everybody has to feel useful in some type of way, and you have to be able to release that energy some way, shape, or form. Hiking, swimming, biking, boot camp classes, whatever the case may be, but you have to figure out a way to get that energy out, because if you just store it in, you'll just be like a dog in a fence, and you just running around not doing anything, and it just drives you crazy.
Going back to where you don't necessarily feel like doing it or something like that because you're not enjoying it too much, How do you handle situations where you aren't necessarily motivated or inspired?
Goals.
Goals?
goals, and having accountability. You know, for me personally, I need goals. I need something to look forward to, and I need an accountability. I have a coach, so I have somebody that I am accountable to that expects me to do some, a type of work that needs to be done. And that works for me. I like being relied on, and I like someone expecting something out of me, expecting something better out of me. I need goals. For some people, I think goals would be, is something that everybody should have. Whether it is every week I'm gonna take my dogs out 3 or 4 times a week. That's a goal. You know what I'm saying? So it's I don't know. I think goals it's gonna be it, because trust me, waking up at 3 in the morning is not something I want to do every day, but it has to get done. Because I got goals. So.
Yeah, especially since you are so busy doing a lot of different things right now.
Yeah.
What's the biggest factor, or one of the biggest factors that you see that cause people to actually fall short or not reach their goals?
I would say environment, and I would say the environment, support, finding people that you can connect with, that are aligned with what you're doing. I feel like it's so hard to do it by yourself. It really is. I mean, you can do it by yourself, and it's great to start off by yourself. I mean, it's nice, but it's nice to have someone that's doing it with you, whether that's a coach, or whether you are in a class, or whether you find a Facebook support group or something, or whether you're even going on social media and you're looking at people that are doing the same thing as you. I really do feel like the environment has a lot to do with it, and if you can't find it in your environment, I think it's up to you to find somebody that you can connect with, and be on that same level, so you don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah, because I know with me, I can work out by myself, and sometimes I do, but definitely even if they're not doing the same workout, just being in the same room as someone else that you can kind of like poke fun with, or someone to watch your form, or something like that, to make sure you're doing things right. I really feel like that helps.
Or even just have a banter with, just, hey, I'm almost done eating my food. I don't want to eat no more chicken. What are you doing? Like, oh, I ate my chicken. So, like, you're like, okay, so you're a little bit inspired. But it's good to have a banter with somebody, that kind of understands what you're going through, as you're going through it.
Yeah, which is good. And having a son that actually started eating healthy, too.
Yeah, that helps a lot. That helped a lot.
Last question. Where can people find you?
Oh, I am a little bit of everywhere. Social media is probably one of the easiest ways to find me. Instagram is Bodies by Bernie. Facebook, you could find me, just look up my name, Bernadine and McCracklin, or you can email me at bodiesbybernie@gmail.com. So I'm pretty easy to find. And just shoot me a DM or a message, an email, and I will get back with you.
Yep. And I will make sure those go in the show notes today. Thank you very much for coming on as my first interview guest.
Yay!
And hopefully everyone got something out of this. I know that I did. I was able to, again, Bernie and I have these conversations all the time.
Yeah.
But there's always something that'll be able to come out, which is really nice. If you enjoyed this, make sure you give this a like and a share, and make sure you follow Bernie wherever you possibly can on the socials. Again, those will be in the show notes. Have a nice Sunday night, everyone.
Peace out.
So there you have it, everyone. An awesome interview with the one, the only, the lovely, the beautiful Bernie. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you'd like to reach out to her, she would love for you to send her a message or post on her Instagram or Facebook to let her know how it is. You can find her on Instagram at Bodies by Bernie. I believe that is all one word. and on Facebook, just by searching your name, Bernadine and McCracklin. Again, thank you for tuning in to this very special, very first interview episode of Derek Noel Fitness Live. I hope to do this a lot more often. I love being able to talk to people about how they're successful or things that they've run into, or even how they interact with other people. It's one of my favorite things because then I get to learn something as well. Hopefully you did. If you like this, please give this a like and a share to share it with all your friends. And actually, go ahead and tag 2 of your friends who you think would love this episode below to make sure that they can get in on the action as well. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.